Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today, since it's pouring down rain outside and I can't go outside and do anything fun to video, I am going to share with you a chainsaw accident that happened to me December of last year, December of 2021. So I took a chainsaw to the face and lived to talk about it. And I just want to share my story in hopes that some of you other geezers out there like myself that are still chopping wood after decades, maybe be a little bit more careful. take your time, go a little slower, stick around for some grandkids. Anyway, I was cutting wood. I had a pile of what I call telephone poles, those beautiful, perfectly straight, 13, 14 inch round or less poles that sometimes we get from tree services when we're getting free firewood. And I was using my Caterpillar skid loader. I would go up and grab a pole off the pile, pick it up like a cigar so it was sticking straight out from the grapple bucket, and I would start at the end and I would buck my way down until I got to the grapple. And when you get to the grapple where the log's pinched, you kind of need to make a cut right there. Most of the time, your last cut's right there. So you release the grapple, you drop the piece on the ground, and then you only got to make one cut on the ground. So it saves your bar from accidentally going into the ground and having to be resharpened, and generally easier on your back for us old guys that don't like to bend over with a chainsaw. Anyway, I was cutting along. I've been out there for hours. It was getting late. It was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and 5 o'clock here in the afternoon in Maryland is dark. The sun's down, and there's it's getting dark. The sand's coming out of the hourglass, as they say. So I got to the last log and bucked it all the way down, released it from the grapple bucket, bent over, put the saw down, just like I've been doing all afternoon, just like I've been doing for 30 years. For a split second, wasn't paying attention, missed the fact that there was another round in front of that one, and the tip of that bar hit the log in front and kicked that saw right into my face. And I mean, it happened so fast. If I was 18 years old, I wouldn't have stopped it. And I shouldn't have been using that saw. That was not the tool for the job. You don't need a 28-inch bar on an 046 to buck little logs, and that's what I was using. Now, I bought that saw in the 90s. That's how long I've owned it. So it's not exactly new to me. I've been holding that saw for a long time, and it was just a split second. Just not concentrating, and it could have cost me my life. Thank God it didn't. But the one thing I'm sure of is that it ended my modeling career. I mean, all I had prior to this was this right here. That's gone. So now I'm making YouTube videos and try to recoup my side gig money I was making modeling for Calvin Klein and those guys. Anyway, back to my story. So that saw came up and hit me in the face, and down I went. It was like I got hit with a bat. Like, it didn't feel like a cut. When you cut yourself, it's got a distinct pain. This was more like I got hit in the head with something big, and kind of came to, and I'm laying there, and sawdust and dirt, and now there's blood everywhere. And I had to crawl over, shut the saw off, kind of crawled over, because every time I tried to stand up, I got like nauseous. I mean, I wasn't like in shock, still a lot of adrenaline, but I knew something was wrong. And I crawled over, and I in my skid loader, I put a phone mount so I can, when I'm cutting firewood, that machine's usually nearby, and I can put the phone in there to keep the dirt and the dust off of it while I'm cutting, and just use Bluetooth headphones. And so that's where the phone was in the skid loader. So I crawled over and climbed up through that gravel bucket and got the phone off the door, and was trying to call somebody. I was trying to get the phone unlocked, and facial recognition wasn't working because I don't know if it was dark or the fact that I had a huge gash on my face, but I couldn't get the phone unlocked. And so I was trying to punch in the code, and I was looking down at my phone, and doing so, the blood coming off of my face at the time was covering the phone, and I couldn't get it to unlock. So I couldn't put the code in. I couldn't swipe it. I didn't have Siri on. I'm like, man, I'm in a world of hurt here. So I live on a farm by myself, and I've got a dog, and I haven't trained him to use the phone yet. He doesn't have any thumbs, so it'd be difficult anyway. So I'm like, man, I'm going to die in a woodpile. Like, this is crazy. And I finally got the phone wiped off enough on my bibs and held it far enough away from my face. My left eye was shut. My glasses were missing. It took my glasses right off my face. I still had my headset on, though. My Beats headset stood up to a chainsaw attack. Not a direct hit, I guess, like the glasses. But anyway, I called a buddy of mine, and he came. He lives around the corner. We're high school friends, and he came up the lane about 100 miles an hour and found me in the woodpile. And I was at that point, I had my arm over my face like this to try to slow the bleeding down, and probably, I mean, I didn't have a choice, but I was covered in dirt and sawdust, and just thought maybe it was the right thing to do at the time. But anyway, so he's sitting there, and he finds me and kind of gets me sitting up straight, and I'm thinking to myself, he wants to see how bad it is. He's like, all right, we got to take a look. So I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to look at him and see his reaction when he sees my face, and then I'll know how bad I am. Like, that's my thought, like I had no other way to gauge this. And I was too scared to put my fingers up to feel, because, I didn't know if my brains were hanging out. I didn't know what the hell happened. And so anyway, so I pull my arm down, and I get a good look at his face, and he's like, ooh, yeah, we're going to have to go to the hospital, buddy. And I'm thinking, oh, man. So I was hoping I could just go inside and he could, clean me up and could go get a pizza and call it a night. But that wasn't the case. So we go to the local trauma center here in town, and that's another funny story. But I get in there, and the guy behind the counter is asking me 50 questions. Now I'm standing in the lobby of this place, and they got the COVID mask thing, the plexiglass thing up, and you can't hear the guy. He's got a mask on, and so he goes through 50 questions, wants to know my name and my address and birth date and all this other stuff. And in the meantime, I've got a rag on my face that I had gotten out of my buddy's truck, and it's soaked through with blood. I've got blood all down the front of me. It's dripping on their floor. And the guy says to me at the very end, the last question he asked me is, and why are we here today? And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I just got hit in the face with a chainsaw. He's like, oh my God, oh my God. So he whispers into his little intercom thing, and, out come a couple of nurses, and they take me in the back, and they get my overalls off and my boots off, and I'm up there on the table, and they're taking my vitals and this, that, and the other thing. In the meantime, I'm holding a rag on my face, thinking at some point somebody's going to want to look and see while I'm there. It seemed odd, but it wasn't like I was unconscious and they needed to check things. I was, I walked in there on my own power. So anyway, I'm laying there on the table, and they get my vitals and all this other stuff done. And then Nurse Steve, who was in the Air Force, he says, all right, Jack, we got to take a look. And I'm like, okay. Now, it was Nurse Steve and this cute little girl with tattoos, a nurse assistant or another nurse or whatever. And so I'm sitting there on the table, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, we're going to get another shot at this. So these two, it's sitting at the end of the bed, are trauma nurses. So when I pull my mask or my towel down and they look at my face, I'm going to look at their faces and see their reaction, see how bad this is. You know, nobody handed me a mirror yet, and I didn't think to take a picture with my phone and look at it. I probably would have gone into shock had I done that. But anyway, so I lower the bloody towel I got on my face, and they're both like, ooh. And I'm like, oh my Lord. I'm like, I must be bad. Like, you know, this must be crazy. So anyway, long story short, the doctor comes in and he's got a mask on. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know, at this point, at my age and having this just happen, like I'm like, Doc, take that mask off. Like, just stop what you're doing. Take the mask off. I said, I'm not worried about COVID. I just got hit in the face with a chainsaw. And so he takes the mask down and he looks at me. And I kid you not, he says, what are you trying to do? I was like, are you kidding me? So, I don't know. I just found it funny. You know, this Middle Eastern doctor asked me what I was trying to do. So, I told him I was juggling chainsaws, and one of them caught me in the face. But anyway, they stitched me up. I didn't lose my sense of humor. I had the stitches in for, I think, 7 days. That's all they require in your face, because I guess it heals faster than other extremities. And they left the suture, or they left the staples in my ego for a month. had to let that heal up. You know. So anyway, I know I'm joking around about it, but it's a serious thing, and you know, I made it out scarred, but alive. And I'll tell you, the other thing is that, you know, I wear glasses. I've worn glasses since I was about 3 years old. And if it wasn't for these polycarbonate lenses that the people talk me into buying every time I go into town to buy glasses, I probably would have lost an eye, because it went across my nose, across my eye, and up my forehead. And I probably would have just took my eye out. So I'm blessed. Man upstairs was looking out for me and lived to tell a story. So anyway, if you're old like me and you're cutting firewood, and you know, take your time. When you get tired, just stop. I mean, it's not a race. If it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. So stay safe out there. Enjoy it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.